out of mine tonight? Play Corover.
Depends. Will your friend, the footballer, be there?
Oh, friend! Football friend!
Oh, what a superb goal! Stephen Moore, that is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Football Friends with Ben and Stef. Stef's got his Arsenal kit on. He's happy because the boys, they're getting the job done in the Premier League. And you boys over there in Vietnam, absolutely flying as well. How's your week been, Stef?
Yeah, Sunday night was perfection to a T. The only disappointing thing was I picked up my third yellow card, or sixth one technically, but so I'm missing the next game. But yeah, we got the job done. We went 1-0 up, and I thought, we're flying here, like against a decent team in Nam Dinh. But they've got the East Asian Cup, the Shopee Cup, so they're resting some of their foreigners, and the local boys actually, I think, made it harder because they were running more, pressing more. They obviously wanted to prove why they should be playing. We went 1-0 up, then they went 2-1 up, and I thought, this is a disaster. The game was pretty heated. So, of course, I had to get stuck in, and their players do 4 or 5 challenges, nothing. I do my first challenge, yellow card, and I won the ball. But anyway, referees hate me worldwide, doesn't matter where I go. So
against the Aussies.
Yeah, and I hadn't even said anything to him yet, so that was the strangest part about it. But anyway, we ended up winning 3-2. So, second place won, which meant that it's now going down to this next game. If we win, it's all done and dusted, which is pretty exciting. It's a game at home. We had 16,000 odd at the last one. Everyone was trying to come and see us win it. This week, I assume, will be the same, and I guess I'll be in the stand with our coach, who's also suspended for the game. So anyway, it's I'm more calm now. I was frustrated at the time, but then later on that night when Arsenal won 1-0 and the referees were on Arsenal's side, I kind of thought, you know what, I like referees again.
Will you ask the kit man for the kit just to make it look like you at least played in the game? Like, if you guys win it, what are you going to do? Go down there in the tracksuit?
Nah, I think I'll tell him to bring the kit. I'll ask him probably what they're going to do beforehand, because they were saying maybe we won't actually do the trophy presentation until our next home game, which is 2 weeks after this game. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I think it's weird if we don't celebrate it when all the fans are there. And yeah, you want to... That's what I'm annoyed about, because you know what it's like. You want to be in the kit. You want to feel like you've... Even though this is different to a cup final or something like that, you want to be out there. You want to be dirty. You want to be, in and amongst it. So instead, it's different one. But I don't want us to lose either. It's not one of those ones where you're like, selfishly we'll just win it the week after. It's like, nah, let's get it done. But anyway, that's enough for me. The listeners probably don't want to talk too much about Kongan Hanoi because they couldn't care less, even though I do. Going into the finals review, some big games. We'll go yours first up. Sydney v Newcastle. We spoke about it last week in the nerves and being a young team, Newcastle, and you guys obviously probably got nothing to lose. How did you find the game? Did you set up differently? Do you think it's gonna play a bit of an impact into the second leg, or is it now just a completely new game with the second leg?
I think it is a new game just because the result in the end. I think we dominated a large part of the game. I think the first half we were especially really good without, really punishing. And, we go 1-0 up. It's a bit of a kind of scrappy goal, but then you're like thinking, wow, fuck, we're in a good position here. And then the team that they always create something, and it came from a bit of nothing, and then they end up getting the goal and we draw the game. So it's kind of, on one hand, you're a little bit disappointed. On the other hand, you've got to take the positives and you're like, well, we played really well if we play like that again. But I think now it just turns into a 90-minute game, instead of the 180-minute that it was. It's now, basically 0-0 going into this one. And yeah, obviously they're at home, but I think we can take a lot of confidence going into this weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I guess Ocon's been spoken a lot about. Camijo's come in with PK, I guess, taking over. He was non-existent under Ufi this season, right? Like I don't think he's played at all. I guess firstly, you must rate him, well, I'm assuming you do after the way he's been playing recently, but what was it, do you think, that was stopping him from playing earlier in the season as well?
Yeah, I think he's always had a lot of potential, but he's really young. So maybe it's been potentially a battle of confidence and really believing that, you can do it at this level. And I think anyone that's played the game, at a decent level will understand that that is a big hurdle when you're young. And I think me and you can attest to that as well. But PK's kind of shown his faith in him, and I think these last 2 games he's been incredible. I think against Victory he was really, really good as well, and probably didn't get noticed too much, but I thought that was the best game I'd seen him play. And then on the weekend he was phenomenal. Like I thought he was unbelievable, doing both sides, like doing the dirty work, but then also being calm enough when he got on the ball to put his foot on it, and instead of just lumping it, actually trying to play. I think he absolutely bossed it. And then you've got obviously Paulie next to him, who's been strong all season. So really, really happy for Wataru, because he's a great kid and he's worked really, really hard, and he's been patient, because he was with the MPL team towards the end of Uffy being here, so he wasn't even training with us. So really? I suppose to be kind of at that much of a low point in the season, and then to be able to come back and now be playing in these massive games and playing the way he has, I think fair play to him.
Yeah, wow. What was the reasoning? Was that, did you have too many other players that were training and it was just better for him, or he was just really not in the picture at all? Yeah,
I think probably a little bit of both. Like, obviously he was training with us at the start of the season all the time, and then there came a period, and there's obviously things that happen, injuries to certain players, and other players are doing well, and then obviously what the coach is thinking as well. But it's strange. You can be at that point. He's probably thinking, fucking hell, I've not played all season. I think he played some minutes early, but not much. And then how easy is it to kind of go, oh fuck, this season's a write-off. I'm with the MPL team. I'm not even with the A-League boys, whatever. But that's where you got to give credit, because he's come back, and training with the MPL is not always easy when you're on a A-League contract. But he obviously was doing the right things there, and he's a good kid, so I'm sure he was. And to be playing like this, like I thought on the weekend he was best player on the pitch by a country mile.
I saw a decent amount of the game until my missus spoiled the result for me. I've got to say that. I've got to tell that story. Just like, I forgot about it until then. I'm like, literally, I said to Carla, she was coming to our training, bringing Orlando. I said, I got to bring my laptop so I get the Paramount game up, because sometimes it doesn't upload straight away afterwards. So I quickly get home, and she's trying to get Orlando dinner, and I'm eating and whatever else. And then she comes out of the shower, and it's, 55th minute. And she looks at the score, and she's like, oh, 0-0. I thought it was 1-1. I look around and I'm like, what do you mean you thought it was 1-1? And she was like, oh, fuck. I'm like...
Honestly. I reckon she's thinking in her head, I can't be fucked him watching this game. I want him to help look after Orlando.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ruin it. Because you can't be like that.
Yeah.
You can't be that thick, surely.
I don't know how she's actually done that. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I was like, well, are you 100% it was 1-1? Because if you know it's 1-1 now, once it goes 1-1, what am I watching it for? And then the Premier League was on as well, so I was like, I'll just flick it over to that. But she was like, I think so. Oh, actually, I'm not sure though. I'm like, well, just check, all right? Because if I don't want to be sitting here, then literally 5-10 minutes later, it was 1-1, and I was like, oh. Like, you can't watch... Like, I know some people don't watch a game back if it's not live. I can actually watch games back fine if it's not live. But if I know the score, like, it just kills everything. Because you're watching it and you're like, well, it's 1-1. They're not going to score this chance. So I'm not actually... I'm not excited.
Yeah.
Like, even if you did the best
that's
thing...
the whole thing. It's like the 90th minute and you're thinking, fuck, I wonder if someone's going to score. And then obviously you have to watch it live to find out. But once it's already done with, it's like, well, I know no one's going to score. It might be a great game, but like, do I really need to watch it? I already know the result. Exactly. So, anyway. So,
moral of the story, if I'm watching a game on delay, I lock Carla in the bedroom and she can't come out and look at what I'm doing or yell out to me. So, I think Orlando was watching it as well, and he was pissed as well. He didn't even know what was going on, but he was upset. So, it's done. Last thing before we go on to the next game, from your point of view, you're coming, I guess, up against Newcastle like we already know, but you're now away from home. In your opinion, does this put more pressure on them playing at home with the crowd, or do you think this actually gives them a boost? Because there's going to be, I'm assuming it's sold out, 20,000 there. Newcastle, you'll have, a couple of thousand Sydney FC fans, but you're not going to be heard the same way as the Newcastle fans will be. So is this more pressure for for Newcastle, or actually is it an advantage for Newcastle?
I think it depends on the way. I think at the start of the game, it will definitely be an advantage because they'll be walking out to a massive crowd. Everyone's cheering for them. I'm sure it will be hostile towards us at the start of the game, but then it really depends on the way the game goes, I think. The best way to kind of make a crowd quiet is to score one. And I think if we are able to do that, that'll be massive. But I was speaking to someone else about it, and I think the first goal in this game, and probably in both of the games, is going to be absolutely massive because then that really then puts the pressure on the other team and you don't have as long anymore. It's not like you've got another game to then go, it is what it is. Like it's crunch time, and if we can score one, that's going to be huge. But the same goes. If they score one, then they've got the crowd behind them. They're going to be lively. Then it kind of makes the mountain a little bit bigger to climb. So yeah, we'll see. But no, looking forward to it. I hope they get a massive crowd just because this is what you want in the league. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. Well, what was that last game of the season? It was pretty much full. So you'd assume everyone will be there for this. It's been a long time since they were in a semi-final. So excited to see that one.
Yeah. No, it's going to be huge. Adelaide versus Auckland. Talk to me, Steph. Obviously, you're still a Red watching on. What did you make of the first game, and what are your expectations for this second game?
The first 15, I think it was 15 or 20 minutes was just all Adelaide. And it was almost like, how haven't they scored here? And you kind of got the sense of, all right, like if they don't score and actually kind of get one while they're on top, you knew Auckland eventually were going to turn it around, even though they've been struggling of late with confidence and playing their best football. But you knew at home they were going to get periods in the game, and Adelaide didn't score. And then typical Auckland, the way they are, just kind of lumping the ball up, putting pressure. We were speaking on the phone the other day. It's almost like getting field territory for them is so big because set pieces, long throw-ins, they're just dangerous. And it's you can say it's a shit part of the game, but it's such an important part of the game. And if you can do that well, you create chances out of nothing. Lockie Brooks scored his first goal in quite a long time from open play. And that's when I thought, can they handle the pressure here now? It was a wet night. It was more physical. Everything was suited to Auckland. But I think Anselmo is honestly been a saviour. And I know probably Luca might have played anyway with him, so it wouldn't have been one or the other. But I think Anselmo in this game, with his physicality, he's like a number 6, number 8. But he's so big and strong. He actually allowed Adelaide, to have that outlet where maybe in years gone by we didn't have that there, and a lot of teams in the league, if you don't have that to get out of Auckland's kind of press, you just keep going long. They're winning headers, putting it back in, where he was able to bring the ball down, drop it off to Ryan White, Johnny Yule could get into play, Yaya Dukali could get into play. So I think overall for Adelaide, it's a great result, 1-1. I know you'd want to win the game. Of course you want to win the game, but you're now going to Cooper's, which is the best place to play football on a Friday night. All the Adelaide boys would be absolutely buzzing. It's sold out. It's been sold out for a week or so. And I think they're ready to go. Who they choose to play is a big one. I don't think Kiddo's back. Luca's back. But one question I want to ask you is, because you were a failed winger, turned into a fullback, Yaya Dukali, I wouldn't say he's a failed winger because he's been moved there out of necessity. How hard is it, though, to change from a winger to a fullback? And this is the same as you, really, in a matter of days, weeks, where it's just happened and he's now got to play there. How hard is that transition? And do you think it's something that maybe you see as a potential for him long term?
Yeah. I've not seen enough of him in terms of a defensive side, and I don't really know him. Like, you would probably be able to speak better on it in terms of his aggressiveness, the way that he presses, probably his game smarts in a sense of his positioning and things like that. And you can kind of see that in wingers already, the way even as a winger, I always thought I was good at pressing. I always thought tactically I was quite good, and I wanted to always do that hard work. It was just a part of my game. Whereas other wingers maybe don't have that or don't really need that, which is why they're playing in a forward position. But I thought he was really, really good there. So sometimes it's like you get moved there, you play too well there, and then you end up there, which is not probably what he wants. But what an assist! Like, let's talk about their goal.
Yeah.
Like that, it's incredible. Like that pace. He's obviously up against Hiroki Sakai, which for me is probably one of the best fullbacks in the league. Every time I play against him, I find it really, really tough. He's so aggressive, and like he just blew past him, and like what a ball! Like on an absolute platter. So. Who knows? Maybe Yaya is going to be the makeshift left back. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays there again, because I think he's done a great job. I think it's the defensive side that's probably going to be a little bit tougher for him. But what do you think they'll do? What do you think if you were Ed and Andrioli right now? You've obviously got Luka Jovanovic, who's the Golden Boot, coming back in or available. And then you've got Anselmo, who everyone spoke so highly about the way he played, and obviously especially against Auckland. Who would you bring him in, and who would you take out? Because it's kind of a tough one.
Yeah, well, Ryan White just won the Player of the Year,
Young Player of the Year.
I don't even. Yeah, no, like the main Player of the Year. I can't even think of the award. I've just had an absolute brain fade.
Yeah, Aurelia Vidmar.
Aurelia Vidmar. Yeah,
He won that?
Nah, he won the Players' Player.
Oh,
Ryan White won the top gong. So
wow!
It goes to show, I guess, the level of consistency and how well he's played. But they moved him higher up, I guess, because of his height and being able to probably, we've spoke about it before, but his physicality and being able to scrap to win those balls is really important. So I think that worked really well. Do you bring him further back and drop Duzzy, Luke Dizelle, who played a really good game? I think that's harsh. Alagic is going to play, so that's a tough one to make there. And Selmo for me was too important to not play, so he's going to play with the experience. You could play Goody as a left back as well in terms of that position. You could play Yaya there. I genuinely, and Harry Crawford, who scored, and he could play right back, but I think that's too much to ask, to be honest, to put a young boy like that at right back. I think it's easier as a winger, and Jay Barnett as a right back has been so solid.
I think Barnett, like he was really good in the game as well. Like really good. He's someone that's like, I think, come on so much from his time when he was at Melbourne Victory. I think he looks like so confident. I remember in one part of the game, like he had the ball like at right back in a deep area, and he's like put his foot on the ball. It looked like he wasn't sure what to do, and then he's just nutmegged the guy. Like quality. Like, I was watching it, getting ready for our final, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, I don't know if I'll be doing that tonight. So fair play.
Honestly, it's a great problem to have, but there is going to be problems, and there's going to be people that are upset, and I think that's the hardest thing as a coach now, probably for Ayrton, where he needs to have these conversations with the players early enough to get them in the right mindset to be like, okay, like, Arteta speaks about, you're not a substitution, you're whatever he calls them, fucking impact player, game changers. I think someone like a Luka who came off the bench and scored 2, maybe it's, you know what, you're going to be on the bench again because we want you to come on when the game's more open, there's more space. That's maybe an option. And even someone like Goody, who's probably thinking, I've gone to World Cups, I've done it before, I'm good enough to start. How do you keep someone like that out of this game for long periods? It's hard, man. It's really tough. But it's like I said, it's a great problem to have. And I think due to the fact of that, Adelaide have to be favourites and playing at home on a Friday night. I don't see Adelaide not winning, to be honest. I know that's too cocky maybe and too confident, but I can't jinx it because I'm not out there. I just find, looking at this matchup, I just think Adelaide are going to have too much.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping for the same. I don't know if I'm as confident as you, because I think it's one of those, it's a final, it's a one-off game, it's nerves, it's so much goes into it. Like they could come out of the blocks like they did last week and not score. Like Michael Vard in that first 15 minutes was best on ground basically already in the first 15 minutes with the saves that he made. And then they go down the other end, they score another one that ends up being offside. But imagine they go 2-0 down, and then it's like, fuck, how are we going to pull this back? So I would love I would love for us to win and for Adelaide to win and have that final like we've already spoken about on the phone at Adelaide Oval. Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's exciting times. This is the best time of the season. 2 massive games this weekend, so let's see. But let's go on to the national team, and obviously with seasons finishing both here in the A-League and overseas now, there's been a few more boys added to the mix. Some that I think will be pretty big shoo-ins, to be honest. Some of these guys that have just come into the camp. But what are your thoughts on this squad that Popper's slowly assembling? And how many of these boys that are in there at the moment do you think will end up in the final squad for the World Cup?
Yeah, it's. I think it doesn't feel like a World Cup's coming up, to be honest. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel like it. I guess maybe it's being away here in Vietnam. You don't see too much because they're not in it, and maybe if you're in Australia, you see the media and stuff a bit more. But yeah, it's. You know what I was thinking? It's a long time to be in camp. Like the boys that were in there last Monday, I think they went last Monday, which would have been the 5th or the 6th. They probably arrived. They could be in camp for like 2.5, 3 months. I'm sure they're going to get breaks in between and stuff, but it's a hard one because you want to keep fit, you want to keep sharp, but yeah, you don't want to be burnt out as well from that setup. So I reckon the ones that were called in last week, firstly, like I think someone like a Matt Leckie, we didn't speak about this last week, but for me, he has to be in there just on what he's done alone. And I probably wouldn't put him as a 6 because I think we've maybe got other players, but I'd play him as a right wing back. In the current system, he's naturally a winger. I think he's played when Ange was in charge, when they played that 3-4-3 as one of the wing backs. Man, he's just a physical beast. I don't know how he's played that game 120 minutes.
It's crazy.
When he's hardly played, and I would love to see his GPS data from that game as well. And I don't think he was the best player on the field. I think he was very good, but to even be able to, like, you see players cramping after 70 or 80 minutes sometimes when it's the first game of the season. This guy's like hardly trained, hardly played, to play at that level for 120 minutes. Like you know what you're going to get from him. So for me, he's a lock. I think Harry Suter, if he shows that he's fit enough, he's a lock. Like those two guys are proven players, and they're probably starting 11 players. So they're in there. And then from this last group, I would say the two surprises were Rafael Borges and Daniel Benny. But that right wing back spot is one where we do have probably no one locked in. I guess Italiano's the only fit one that's been playing consistently. So you need backups, and maybe those two have got a chance now to actually put their hand up and show that they can do a job there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think outside of the players you've mentioned, I think the rest are probably maybe outside of the goalkeepers. Obviously, you got Beachy, you got Gauchi. I think Devonish Mears will be added to the mix once we're finished up. Yeah, I do. I think he deserves it. I think
inside info, or are you just saying that?
No inside info, but I think that he should be. I really do. Like, I just really believe that he's been by far the best keeper in the league this season. So I'd be very surprised if he's not at least in the mix for the camp, and just to get to see what he can do firsthand. And then the other ones, you got Cam Burgess. I think he'll be in there for sure. Yeah. Nesta, Mo's probably the first name on the team sheet right now. Alex Robertson, do you think he goes? The six is a hard one, isn't it? The midfielders are tough.
I think Robertson's probably one that's gonna come down to maybe how well you do in this training camp. Yeah, like literally, I reckon there's going to be probably 2 or 3 players that could say that we deserve it. Like even a Max Ballard, who hasn't been involved recently, but he's playing every week in the Eredivisie. Like, I know they're maybe getting relegated, but still, he's been there. Cammy Devlin's not really been involved that much. He was injured, now he's back. Like they're going to win the league, and he's been their best player at Hearts. Like, can you not have him in the squad when you're going to maybe win the Scottish title and be the team's best player? I think he has to be in there. Jacko Irvine, I'm sure, is, again, he's the captain or vice captain. I'm not sure exactly how it works with Matt Ryan, but he's going to be starting. Aidan O'Neill, Yazbek,
Metcalf,
Paulie Ocon Jr. Like, there's just so many that can do it, but you can't have them all. That's the reality of it. So I reckon there's going to be probably one or two that feel like they're quite hard done by in that position, and that's a good problem to have. But yeah, Mo Toure, Nesta, Cam Burgess, Aziz Bayic, yeah, Hrustic, like they're locked in. Those ones are locked in.
Agree.
And did you see Mo and Nesta? You know what the funniest thing that I saw was? Mo and Nesta, especially Nesta, were back in Adelaide and they were training with Django.
Oh, were they?
Yeah. They literally drove that guy. He's a sports science guy at Adelaide United for a long time before he's taken some time out of the game. And he's working with the under-17s and doing his own stuff now at a gym. But he drove them crazy. Nesta, never working hard, always doing the wrong thing, talking in pre-act. And now he's actually going and spending time with him when he's doing his own private stuff. I honestly found it so funny to see. But it's one of those things where he's probably matured and been like, you know what, fuck. Yeah, I was a bit of a wanker to Django because I never wanted to do the extra running or whatever it was. But
it's just also
he was good at his job.
Like being young, being a little bit naive, thinking that side of football is a bit of a fucking waste of time and why am I doing all this stuff? All I need to do is come here and play well. That's the only thing that matters. Which is true to an extent, but I think as you get a little bit older, you start to mature up. But one player, Steph, that I would like to talk about, our old mate Riley McGree, who's potentially on the cusp of knocking on the door of the Premier League at the moment. He's, I'm sure, one player that will definitely be in this squad. You played with him. I played with him as well. What do you think's on the cusp for him? Like, do you think if they get promoted, he stays there and he has a spot at Borough?
I think so. I think he's like the biggest issue that he's always had is he keeps getting injuries. Mm-hmm. He went through a really tough spell at Birmingham, I remember, where he wasn't playing. Then new coaches, I think, came in. He started to kill it. Then he got this big move. And the coach that's come in at Middlesbrough, I think he's Swedish. And the way he plays football, I've watched some of their highlights because they play really good football. And when Riley's been fit, he's been in the team the whole time. And he's performed so well. So I think if they go up to the Premier League, he's someone that 100% is going to be involved. Of course, to stay up, you see the teams and the investment you need to make to actually, to have a chance in staying up in the Premier League is ridiculous. But I think he's one that they'll keep because he's a great player that they know. He understands the style, the way they want to play. And for Riley, what a couple months coming up it could be. They've obviously drawn first leg with Southampton 0-0. Imagine they go up to the Premier League and he's playing at a World Cup as well. This is where football changes so quickly, and this is where if you're overseas and in Europe and at this level, your world can change in an instant. They can lose this and it be a disaster, and you know what, you're back in the champ next year. It's a hard slog, or you get promoted and literally your life changes. So I think he's good enough. 100%. I think if I look at him and let's say comparing him to me, we're similar players. I think the biggest weapon he has is he's so powerful and so quick. Like to have that as a number 8, number 10, which allows him to play I think he's played fullback before or wing back there. He's played as a winger. That change of speed, that's what the Premier League players have. I think his top speed was high 35s from memory. That's top level. That's the biggest difference. So I think he's technically good enough. He's football smarts 100%, and that physical side of the game is what allows him to keep going up the levels, and maybe the Premier League will be even easier for him because probably less transition depending how Middlesbrough play, obviously. So massive month for him, massive few months for a lot of players coming up. And under-17s World Cup, Australia have qualified. First time since, I think it was Ryan Teague's group, maybe, at the last one. Cole Viet's the coach, my ex-coach, so unbelievable for him. And what do you make of this? Obviously, you were involved with the whole process last time with the under-17s when it was our age group. You didn't make the final squad, and I did, and I wasn't involved.
I got used to that, and then
at
you
all.
just fucking people like you just come and swoop in. Fucking hell, it's
Yeah.
a joke. I still remember that. That was one of the worst. Obviously, we were only 16 years old, but at that time, that was like my world was ending when I didn't get selected for that squad. But it's obviously, it's massive. It can be massive. I think we've seen it in the past with guys like Danny De Silva's. I think that was the under-20 World Cup that he went to, but off the back of that, and that was back then when I think football was nowhere near as friendly to young players and kind of especially gambling on Aussies as what it is now. I think the moves that players are getting now seems that people respect Australia a lot more as a country. So it's obviously good. It's really good for these young players. They probably don't realise it currently, but going there and playing well honestly can open you up to anything and can flip your world upside down, like we were just speaking about with Riley. It's obviously a 48-team competition now. What was it when we were that age?
It was 24. It was 24.
Like, literally doubled. So you would hope that they're qualifying.
Yeah, it's not taking away from obviously what they've done, but it does play a pretty big thing in actually allowing them to get there. Because before it used to be you had to get the top 3 in Asia, wasn't it? Like it was semi-final, and then
I think it was
I'm pretty sure it was.
I think it was always top 4. You had to get to the semi. You had to get to the semi. I
Was it
remember
semis
the
and you
quarter
made it?
always being... That was definitely for our under-17 because I remember we played... I think we played UAE in the quarter.
Okay.
And that was such a big game because we were in Dubai beforehand. I think it was in Uzbekistan. So yeah, it's obviously gotten a lot easier now, and it's great. Like it gives more countries an opportunity. Probably countries that were always missing out are now actually in the mix to be able to go to these World Cups, and this is that's all it takes. Like, well, how many games?
And the other thing that's again like world football is different. I think it's of course it's a business, but the disappointing thing for us, if we want to go back and be salty about our junior careers, it was every 2 years. So we had to play up an age group, and it meant that every second age group essentially was missing out on this massive chance. Where now it's every year. So that's the other thing that actually, and as a coach for Colby, it's more exciting. As players, it's better. Everyone benefits from this. The scouts are going to be going there every year to see these players. So I think it's a better setup now. More teams going there around the world every single year, and this is the chance for, you've probably got some A-League Academy players that are touted as the next big things. They're going to go there with a chance to get sold overseas before they even play a minute in the A-League potentially, which is ideal. Obviously as long as you're getting the price that you want for them, it doesn't really matter. Or you go there and have an unbelievable under-17 World Cup, and A-League teams are like, wow, okay, he's at Sydney FC or Adelaide United. We're going to have to give him minutes here because now he's on the radar of these big teams. So let's slowly give him the chance to actually prove himself. Which is
it just
massive.
puts a bigger emphasis on the youth, and also clubs actually needing to be a little bit more switched on, I think, which when we were young, let's say 10 years ago, I don't think they were at all. I think it was actually detrimental to your chances of playing in the A-League when you went away with the junior national teams. Whereas now, I feel like, especially if they're always qualifying for these World Cups, they can actually go there and stake their claim. These clubs need to be switched on, because if they haven't already locked them into a scholarship deal with buyout clauses, these players could be gone, and all they're going to be getting is compensation. So I think that's just another another branch in that tree of, that the game is moving younger and younger and younger, especially here in the A-League. And I think the clubs need to make sure they're rewarding these players when they're getting to those ages of 15, 16, actually looking and going, fuck, you know what? We might need to give them a scholarship deal because they look like they could be the next star coming through.
Yeah, it's and if you look at, the A-League in the current state of the game, which we've spoken about a lot, it's perfect for these young players because the money's not there to sign multiple, older experienced players like it was before to be squad fillers. Now, your squad filling players are your youth team, are your scholar players. So it's perfect for that, and this is even more a reason to have these academies and to have everything in place. So when your players do, come up. Sydney FC players, they come up and they know the way the first team plays. I think that's, I'm sure some clubs do it. I think Melbourne City probably do it the best, from what I've heard. But you need to have your youth team, your reserves, your 18s, 17s, all playing the same way. So if a guy comes up and he's just gone away with the Under-17 World Cup, he comes in, he knows how to play. He knows how to play the system. He knows the way that the club wants to do it. So it's going to be really interesting. It's exciting, and it's going to be life-changing potentially for some of these young players. But going on from last week's chat and a couple of the stuff that went out on social media, and a lot of people, someone from Sydney FC actually having a go at me saying, "Oh, I'm sure many players are going to be wanting to come to Vietnam." And the funniest thing about that is, I've had so many messages since I've been here from players about, oh, how did you get there? What's the go? Is it a good league? Even coaches. So let's talk about that. Firstly, I want to get your opinion, and this is, we don't have these numbers. We actually don't have the proper numbers of A-League players, but from your, I guess, change room chatter, from just knowing the way the league is, what would you say right now is a A-League player that's, let's say, 22 to 25 in the league, that's a starter? How much do you reckon they're getting paid these days? And then how much do you reckon they would have been getting paid 4 or 5 years ago, let's say, when it was probably at its peak?
You're saying average, not an absolute star that's come back from overseas.
Not a star.
Just an average player that's kind of broken through. They play every week. They're an average player, let's say.
Probably on their second contract, but they're a starter.
Genuinely, 100 and probably not more than 150,000. I would say. If they're on 150, they're probably sitting there going, "I'm on a pretty good deal."
Yeah. Yeah, I
agree.
I think it would be even less. I think closer to 100.
Yeah, I think some could be around 100. I think probably the ones that have, let's say, signed a new deal after they've already been playing. But I think, and always, I think a thing that always affects it is if you've been at the same club for a long time. I feel like you get that kind of negative impact of being at a club for so long. It's like when you don't check your home loan for a long time and you can get a better loan somewhere else. I mean, it's actually like that. It is. You're already there, so it's like, well, we'll just offer you this. Whereas another club will come in that you've never played for, that you've never, like, you've done nothing for them, but they'll come in and pay you more. I've never understood how another club that's never seen you, doesn't know the type of person you are, can value you higher than the club that you're already at. But I think it was like that when we were young as well. So
yeah, I think that's especially Adelaide United. That's the Adelaide United taxes. Oh, you're living in Adelaide. It's cheap.
Yeah.
If you want to go to Melbourne or Sydney, you pay more. But it's like, well, not anymore. The rents are just as bad. But a lot of Adelaide boys live at home. So that's that. Then let's go like a guaranteed starter, top 5 or 6 best player in the league. Let's say someone like yourself. I'm not saying what your salary is specifically. But someone like you that's guaranteed starting pretty much every week, you're an experienced player, you're one of the team's best players. I think people, I reckon 3-4 years ago, sorry to cut you off, those players would have been earning 250 to 350, and there would have been 3 or 4 of those players on that type of money in the A-League. What do you reckon now at majority of A-League clubs they'd be getting?
I think now for that type of player, it would be, I would say 300 would be like really pushing the boundary. I think you'd be 200. I would say 200 to 300 for like a top senior player, plays every single week, a leader in the team. I would say between 200 to 300. There's always exceptions to the rule, and I think there are definitely some players that are earning higher, and they're not necessarily marquee or overseas players. I think there are Aussies that are earning more. But I think 5 years ago, you would have had probably 4 or 5 senior good top Aussie players earning 250 to 350. And then I think you would have probably also had another 1 or 2 that were earning probably 400 to 500. And I don't know how many teams would have an Aussie player on their books right now that they're paying 500 plus.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, all the other leagues are going up in money. We're actually getting worse. And these are players with current contracts already. So imagine you're now renegotiating a new contract, and you kind of went through this a little bit when you left Western to come to Sydney, and yours was different because it was at the end, and there was no real money. But players now coming off contracts, the money they're getting offered, like without knowing 100%, I don't think there'd be a player at Adelaide that's over 300. I'd be very surprised if there was, or they'll be very close to that. So everyone's under 300. Majority of players are under 200. So the money that's in the game right now, there's the odd player, Adam Taggart, for example, when he signed his deal, top goal scorer, Perth were paying bigger money. Maybe certain clubs could pay more. At Western Sydney, there might be a few boys that are on good contracts. Sydney FC, in the past, definitely would have. But
it's only a select couple of clubs, though.
Yeah.
Because you could basically go through the rest of the teams. I'm sure Auckland are probably well paid.
Yeah, Auckland.
But I think you could basically throw a blanket over Mariners, Brisbane, Wellington, Newcastle, Adelaide.
Say Mariners?
Yeah,
Glory?
Mariners, yeah. Glory, I think Glory do pay a little bit more. I think especially since
Glory
the takeover. I think they actually probably that's the thing. That's why I think the big thing has been on Glory. Like the spotlight's been on in the last year or two, because it's actually like, if you look at their team, it's not that bad. Like it's actually not a bad team at all. So they should be kind of overachieving. I think when you look at the other clubs, in Newcastle, like for me, that is super impressive, because you actually know that they're not spending a big budget and they're doing so well. But yeah, it's crazy. And as you said, like it's maybe gone backwards a little bit, but just also plateaued. Like I think like your average wage has plateaued. I think your like the minimum wage has plateaued. How can the minimum wage plateau when the cost of living goes up every single year? Like inflation is a thing around the whole world. How is the minimum salary for a professional footballer stayed the same? Like if we go back to 2018, we were quite close, I think, with the AFL. And now the AFL's minimum salary is probably around 200 grand, and you've got still like young boys getting their first contract probably earning like 60, 65k.
Exactly. And that's just the reality of it. So when we spoke about it last week of the exodus, yes, there's going to be young boys that go overseas, and I think that 100% they should go overseas, but you want to be doing it from a position of power if you're the club. And if I'm an agent, I'm thinking, I know you guys need money. So if you're asking, let's say, for an Alagic or a Paulie Ocon, you want 2 million for him, right? Well, I know you desperately need the money, so I'm going to tell the club overseas, you'll be able to get him for 1. And the player can quadruple, quintuple, whatever it is, his salary, probably, because he's not on good money in Australia, and they're not going to give him more money to keep him staying here. That's the biggest thing with it. So there's that, and then you've got players like yourself, and we say it all the time, you've picked the worst possible position to maybe try and get to Asia as a fullback. But if you're 27, 28, and you're not looking to go to Europe, and you're getting Asian countries coming in, and I spoke to a few players that are in Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, obviously I know roughly what's going on in Vietnam, and the numbers here, when you also count, they pay for rent here, they pay for a car here, your cost of living is a quarter, I would say, of what it is in Australia.
How much do you pay for a breakfast there in Vietnam, just to give people an idea?
Like I'm paying here for avocado, 2 poached eggs, avocado on toast, and a coffee. I'm paying about $9 Aussie.
Yeah.
Like
you can't even get a coffee at the airport. Like in an airport, you'll pay $9 for a coffee. It's fucking scandalous.
Do you know what I mean? So there's so much more. And I know not everything is about money, but when you're thinking about that as a player, plus the bonuses that you're getting here, like you can almost live off your bonuses here and 10% of your salary. It'd be the same in Thailand, same in Indonesia. Obviously, you've got to be winning the game, so it helps that my team's pretty much won every game here. But I'm actually carrying back suitcases full of money just back to Australia.
That's perfect. No, like, I won't be paying for anything this offseason. You're paying for every single round of golf if you're going to give it the big ones.
I'm still taking that $1,000 off you when Arsenal win, that's for sure. But I'll give it back to you and I'll put it in the kitty. So anyway, I spoke to a few of the boys, and to give people some rough understanding, if you're going to a smaller team, let's say Malaysia first, a smaller team, you're getting anywhere from 5 to 12,000 USD net a month. You know, so the dollar's tanked a little bit. Normally it's 1.5, but if you think about that, if you're getting 10,000, let's say a month, that's 120,000 US. Let's say it's 180,000 Aussie. That's net. You could be earning 320, 330 in Australia to get that type of money when there's no chance many players are getting that. Plus, by the time you pay your rent and expenses, that's another, $70,000, $80,000 in just living expenses. You're walking out of there in Australia with, I reckon, 20% of your money in savings. Where over here, and that's the low level in Malaysia. Then you go maybe up to 25 US, and it'd be the same. Vietnam's the same, maybe 5 to 10,000 up to 30,000. If you've got the odd big dogs that maybe some teams are getting really big, but if you can get 20 to 30,000 in Vietnam, Thailand's the exact same. Indonesia's the exact same. There's even bigger money in Indonesia, I think, for some of the Indonesian boys with the passports that have come from Europe.
There's also Middle East as well, which you wouldn't really classify. This is like kind of like Southeast Asia, and I would say like they're second tier leagues. Like no disrespect,
you'd
but
classify
they're second tier leagues.
Yeah.
If you were saying like Korea, if you're saying Japan, probably even China, like they're stronger. Obviously Saudi one, like Dubai, UAE, but then like you can go to also Saudi too, and get incredible money. Like Connor Payne's been there now for 3 or 4 years. Then you got like the other leagues, like Qatar, you got Bahrain, like Iran. People used to go to Iran, obviously not anymore.
Luckily that deal for me fell through. Fuck, it would have been a shit show.
You wouldn't have been carrying any money back.
I would have been fucking, I don't know what I would have been doing. I would have been fucking running to Azerbaijan.
All jokes aside, but yeah, like there's all of these other options as well. So, and I think as well, another thing that you can add another layer to is there actually is scope to earn more. Like it's not just that, you're saying 5 to 12,000 US. Okay, great. But you can go there on 5,000 US if you do really well. And they are more volatile, I would say. I think your club seems to be quite steady, but I think for a majority, they are a lot more volatile than what you're going to get here in Australia. But if you do well, the owners like you, the coach likes you, the club's doing well, man, they'll come to you and be like, what do you want? 15, 20,000 US? Like, what's it going to be? And you actually have the scope. Whereas you could do the same in the A-League and they probably won't offer you a new contract, to be honest. But if they did, like, what are you going to go? You're going to go from earning 250 to 270. Like, it doesn't make sense. So
you're losing half of it on tax. You're losing 12% to super. Like, and that's the biggest thing. Like, when I left Adelaide, I was waiting for them to kind of offer me something to say, all right, well, do they really want me to stay? And Marius, who was there at the time, said, well, what if we give you a bit more money? And I'm like, yeah, but how much? And it was literally, maybe 20, 30. And it's like, well, it actually doesn't change anything by the time I pay tax on that, by the time, it's gone to super. I'm not getting that much more in my pocket, where exactly what you said, and that was what the agent was saying to me, come here for X amount, and if you do well, I can get you 20, 30, 40% more. And essentially, that's what I'm in negotiations with now. It's not really breaking anything with Adelaide. I'm discussing it right now, and Adelaide is the position they're really happy for me to come back, but also at the same time, they understand the position and they can't offer any more. They can't offer any more money. It is what it is. And over here, they're offering me 30, 40% more than I'm on right now because we're having such a good year. I'm doing really well. And like, as a player, of course you're going to come and want to earn money. And that's the same reason why I'm getting messages from players, even a couple of coaches. I wouldn't be surprised if another coach came here, an Aussie coach comes here. I know there's a player that's almost signed here for another team in Vietnam, and they're looking because they know the quality of the players in Australia and they know what they're earning there, and they can blow them out the water here.
Yeah, I think that's like a big thing. I remember when I would have been 21. I was coming out of contract my second year at Adelaide, and I remember back then, so this would have been, let's say, 10 years ago, so 2016, let's say 2017, before I went to Hearts, and I think they offered me 110k, and like that was, and I'd played 2 seasons at Adelaide. I played basically every single game. Thought I was playing quite well. I ended up going overseas, and that was it. So I can't imagine now, considering that the league is in a worse financial position, it's actually amazing that they're able to slap these big buyout clauses and actually get the coin that they're getting, because the players would be earning 100k and they're selling them for $1 million. So business structure-wise, it's unbelievable what the A-League are doing. But in terms for the players, like if I was a young player, I'd be saying like, well, if you're not going to pay me more, then I'm not giving you a massive buyout clause. I want my transfer fee to be small. I want it to be 500,000. I want to be able to go. So it's a bit of a pickle for the clubs, for the league. But the ones that are benefiting is these young players because they're going to keep getting moves, and Australia's getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah, and that was all our point was last week, was that's a good thing, and the older players leaving the league, even though people want to say recycled or this or that, those are the players that actually help these young players understand what it takes to be a professional player and to keep the overall standard of the league, because you're always going to get a few Aussie players coming back, right? The ones that have been in Europe, the ones that have maybe been in Asia for a few years that are keen to come back, but you're going to get a lot more now that are like, I'm not staying around in Australia because it's just so expensive. I'll go to Asia, and that's the disappointing thing, because I still want the quality of the league to be high, because that's essentially what's going to get bums on seats. Of course, there's many other factors, but you still need the overall quality to be high, and that's also what's going to drive the prices of these young boys, because if they're playing at a higher level, there's all these tools out there to see the level of play, and just the eye test. If you watch an A-League game, the quality is good and you see a young boy doing well, of course you're going to be like, all right, he can come to the Champ, or he can come to the Eredivisie or La Liga or whatever it is to play the MLS. So anyway, it's an interesting. The new TV rights deal is about to, I think, get announced, or if it's already been done, I think it's locked in. But yeah, interesting times for next season. I think you're going to see so many more young boys getting chances, which is a great thing. I just also think that we really need to figure it out. We can't just keep cutting costs, because eventually, the players can just go elsewhere.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. But that's all we got time for today, guys. Thank you all for listening in. Steph, all the best for your big game this week. Hopefully next week when we're talking, it's not a toilet seat over there, is it? It's no toilet seat.
Just I don't know what it is. So it's a cup of some sort. I'm assuming we'll get a medal. Hopefully we get the medal this week, and maybe I might be on Beer Street. That's what it's called here, the place where you go out. So I might be there 10 deep on a Tuesday.
Unreal. This is what we play it for. So all the best, obviously for us. Hopefully we get the win, but we'll chat next week.
And the Reds v Sydney FC at Adelaide Oval.
Yeah,
I'll go for that as my prediction, just because that's what I want.
It's huge. All right, guys. Thanks for listening in. We'll see you next week.